Okay, if everybody would take their seat, we'll call the meeting to order. Okay, we'll take roll call.
Commissioner Seves?
Here.
Commissioner Farr? Here. Commissioner Guyer?
Here.
Commissioner Ishkanian? Here. Commissioner Lavanino? Here. Commissioner Morehouse? Here. Commissioner Orak?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Stark?
Here.
Commissioner Welt?
Here.
Commissioner Wolf?
Here.
Okay, if everybody would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I remind everybody that any voting will be on a roll call vote. Take a motion for the minutes of October 6th. Been moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Seves?
Aye.
Commissioner Farr? Aye. Commissioner Morehouse? Commissioner Orak? Aye. Commissioner Welt? Commissioner Wolf?
Aye.
Chair Guyer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. And now we have a presentation of certificates of appreciation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Guyer has asked that I make these presentations to Commissioners Bob Orak and Doreen Farr, and I'll stand in a minute after I read the plaques. This is in appreciation to Bob Orak / Doreen Farr. You get one each. For dedicated and conscientious public service to the Commission. Commissioner Orak, 1991 to 2016, and Commissioner Farr, 2009 to 2016. So it's my honor and pleasure to present these plaques to you on behalf of the Commission and Chairman Guyer.
Okay, we'll open up for public comment.
Chair Guyer and members of the Commission, we have no request to speak on general public comment today.
Oh, did you say no?
Actually,
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I could make a comment, and it's actually about receiving this wonderful plaque. So I just wanted to thank all of you for doing this, for myself and Councilmember Orak, who of course has been in public service for much longer than I have. But it's been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. And I think the discussions that we have at LAFCO, while we obviously don't all agree, I think that that's appropriate, that we bring different perspectives and information and background to the work that we do. We represent different constituencies, and that is reflected in the work that we do. And I have never doubted for a moment that every single one of you have taken so seriously the work that we do here. You do your homework, you're thoughtful, you talk to people, however you decide to vote, you talk about that. And anyway, it's been a real privilege to serve with you, and thank you so much.
Ditto.
Man of many words.
I'd like to say something about
Okay.
both of them if I could. You know, it's I always look forward to Doreen and Mr. Orak coming to these meetings because they always come so very well prepared. They go through the material top to bottom, and their insertion in the conversation is always timely. And for a commission that has a lot of things to go over, it's very refreshing to see someone who takes that to the next level, that professionalism. And I'm certainly going to miss you both on this commission. And I don't know who's going to say play ball after Pledge of Allegiance anymore, but one of us will pick up the tradition. I promise you that. Thank you both for your service.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there any questions on the consent calendar? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for the adoption of the consent.
Mr. Chair?
Oh,
Yes.
pardon.
I noticed that in the rules, the policy change, which is part of an item on the consent calendar, the disclaimer says that the sender shall bear, B-A-R-E, the risk of various things. And it probably should be B-E-A-R, bear, like the mammal.
You're sure? Okay.
It's possible, ambiguous, it's
Well,
more fun the other way.
Yeah, it may depend on the comment, so we may want to bear. Duly noted. Okay, was there a second for the consent calendar? Second. Okay. Moved and seconded, roll call vote?
And the motion was as amended.
Yeah, yes, as amended.
Actually, I had one
Okay.
notation on August 3rd, because that's Fiesta.
So, Mr. Chair, do you want to,
You want to deal with it when we get
Yeah,
to August?
yeah.
we
Yeah.
could do that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you want to deal with it now, we'd read the items, but your pleasure.
Yeah, if you're okay with that, just deal with it when it
Yeah,
comes
I'm
up.
fine with dealing with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, roll call vote?
Commissioner Seves?
Aye.
Commissioner Farr? Commissioner Morehouse? Commissioner Orac?
Aye.
Commissioner Welt? Commissioner Wolf?
Aye.
Chair Guyer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, if we read into the record, business item 1.
Chair Guyer and members of the commission, business item number 1 is to approve an amendment to LAFCO Resolution 16-28, Condition 2D, to extend the deadline to conduct Proposition 218 proceedings for the formation of the Cuyama Basin Water District from April 30th, 2017 to June 14th, 2017.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Hood, LAFCO Executive Officer. We've received a request from Young and Woodridge, who represent the proponents of the formation of the Cuyama Basin Water District, to extend the deadline for the Prop 218 election until June 14th from April 30th. The decision by the commission was made in October, and the election will not take place. The board has set an election for February, so they believe they need additional time to have a Prop 218 election following the seating of the new board members. So I'd recommend approval on amending LAFCO Resolution 16-28 to accommodate this request.
Okay. Any discussion or motion? Oh, yeah, one speaker.
Chair Guyer and members of the commission, we have one request to speak today, and that is Susan Petrovich.
The old resolutions.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Susan Petrovich, here representing the proponents of the Cuyama Basin Water District. I just want to thank you for conducting this hearing before the end of the year. There are property owners who are interested in this present. I just thought I'd briefly, very briefly, touch on what's happened since we last appeared before you. On November 1, the Board of Supervisors unanimously adopted the resolution to call for the election. So that's all set up. It will be by mail to form the water district. The actual election occurs on February 28. And it really took a little longer than anticipated to set the board hearing for setting that. So it was no one's fault, it's just one of those processing delays. So we're just behind schedule. 6 people filed their intent to run for the board. It's a 5-person board. So there'll be a little bit of excitement and competition there. Not a huge pool, but At least it's not just 5 people. So nothing has changed otherwise. There is certainly overwhelming support based on the petition for this district, so we have no doubt it will be formed. And that board will take their seats in March, right after the February 28 election, after the ballots are counted, that is. Their primary item of business, other than the normal procedural ones, will be to proceed with this Prop 218 rate-setting process. And as you probably know, that does take some time. You have to hire a consultant. We've already got a short list of consultants that will be presented to that board. In fact, by the time they are seated, there may be one particular consultant that outshines the others. But the fact is that even once the consultant report comes in, you still have to give appropriate notice to the public. So it's just time. And so that's why we're asking for the time extension. We do request that you concur with the staff's recommendation for approval. And the delay will not prejudice the GSA formation. That process is already underway. And Mr. Cont'd did appear, even though the district's not yet formed. He certainly represents a number of the proponents. So he's been there to try to provide some input. But they're at the very early stages of GSA formation, not quite as far along as some of the other basins. So would ask you to approve this time extension. I think it's warranted given unforeseen circumstances that the proponents of this water district could not control. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion?
Move approval of staff recommendation.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded, roll call vote.
Commissioner Seves?
Aye.
Commissioner Farr? Commissioner Morehouse? Commissioner Orac?
Aye.
Commissioner Welts? Commissioner Wolf?
Aye.
Chair Guyer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to information item number 1.
Chair Guyer and members of the commission, informational item number 1 is to receive and file a report on the 2016 LAFCO Annual Conference in Santa Barbara.
Mr. Chairman, I have a brief PowerPoint. Is that? Where is it? Oop. Already went through 2 clicks, so I'll go back. I thought it'd be interesting to the commissioners maybe and the public that Santa Barbara LAFCO hosted the Cal LAFCO Annual Conference October 26th through the 28th in Santa Barbara at the Fess Parker Doubletree. Orchards to Oceans, Balancing California's Diversity was the theme of the conference. It was a very interesting 3-day event. It's a great success and many accolades were received from attendees. Including your commissioners, were well represented. A conference evaluation form from participants confirmed the success, and that was included in your agenda packet. I'm going to go over some of the highlights of the conference that we were, as a commission, were heavily involved in. The mobile workshop featured a tour of the Everbloom flower facility in Carpinteria, and many thanks to Edward Van Wingerden, the owner, and Commissioner Jeff Morehouse for organizing this. This was followed by a tour of the Bradbury Dam. County Water Agency Manager Frey Crease and the representative of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation briefed the participants on the effects of the drought and the area's plans for future water supply. We had over 90 conference participants in 2 buses, making it the largest ever mobile workshop. And we made it on time, which I'm very grateful for, and made it back to the facility in time, right on schedule. Conference opening was, I think, very interesting too. The color guard from the Los Prietos Boys Camp and Academy, and the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Pipe and Drum Corps. Commissioner Welt was part of the welcoming committee, as were a number of Cal LAFCO dignitaries, including the chairman of the planning committee and chairman of the Cal LAFCO board. Santa Barbara Mayor Helene Snyder welcomed the group, And as I mentioned, public member Roger Welt represented Santa Barbara LAFCO. Wednesday evening event was very interesting. It sounds like all we did was have fun, but in between all of these things were very good conference sessions and educational and learning experiences. But we had a beer and wine competition. Santa Barbara came in third place in the white wine judging, which we're calling for a recount, but that was where we ranked. Keynote speaker, again, funded by Santa Barbara LAFCO and Coast Hills Federal Credit Union, was Jean-Michel Cousteau. And he gave a very excellent presentation at lunch, and he's with the Oceans Future Society, and it was truly a highlight of the conference. The awards banquet was a great success, and many commissioners and LAFCO staff members received awards. Special thanks to Conference Planning Committee and Santa Barbara LAFCO as the host committee, and to Jacqueline Alexander and Michael Allen, who went above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that things ran smoothly, and success of the conference was due to their outstanding work. Many thanks. I'm not going to go over every session at the conference. It was, a lot of it was centered on water issues. There was a lot of different sessions that all of the commissioners attended, and I've included the program on the website, and so that anyone that wants to take a look at it can take a look. But once again, I'm very happy that it's over, and that it was a very good, very complete success. And if the commissioners have any comments, now would be the time to say anything about that.
Bob? Yes, being the senior member and departing this organization, I have to say that I've been to a number of conferences of LAFCO's, and even though I'm prejudiced, this was one of the best conferences I've ever been to that has been a LAFCO conference, for a number of reasons. Because it brings folks from all over, and thanks to Jeff and the committee that put it all together, going to see what the flower growers and agriculture is doing in our county. And then I think probably more interesting to me personally was the visit to Bradbury Dam. And then dovetailing with that was Mr. Cousteau's discussion about water belongs to God. It doesn't belong to you, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to everyone. And one of the 2 bus loads, and I was a tour guide on the one bus, when we went to Bradbury Dam, it's striking when you tell the folks this is where the dam starts, and it's miles down the road before you see water. And that concerns us all in Santa Barbara County. And so from the fact that what the water we saw was 14,000 acre feet, and that facility holds 188,000 acre feet, so it's at 7%. And so his premise is everything flows to the ocean, everything. And so I've become very cognizant of picking up pieces of paper, and certainly I think we all are, because when he showed his videos of some of the trash in the ocean, I'm sure some of it came from our neighborhood. And so it was very monumental to myself. And I think the Northern California people that have their water saw what we need down here, and the realization that some of that northern water needs to flow down here because it belongs to everybody. So that I'll get off my pulpit.
Thank you.
Most I've ever heard him talk.
Yeah. Commissioner Farr?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just echo everything that Commissioner Orrick said. I do think that it was as good or better than any other conference that I have been to, particularly LAFCO conferences. I think we should be very proud.
We went to one up at Yosemite, and we had to go stand out on a rock to talk in the cell phone.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But I think all the time and effort that we put into it, starting with coming up with a name for the theme of it, I think that Commissioner Morehouse in particular really put his heart and soul into it. I think he was the one that got the greenhouse grower as part of it, and also made the connection with Mr. Cousteau, which, you know, in my mind, was clearly the most outstanding lunchtime presentation that I think we've ever had at a conference, and that was a real highlight. But all in all, I think it went really, really smoothly. I mean, I was just skimming through the comments that are here, and there are any number that are saying, you know, thank you to us for, and the whole LAFCO staff for putting on such a great conference. So I think we should all feel very proud.
Commissioner Wall?
I would also like to acknowledge the people that were involved in the planning. Commissioner Farr and Commissioner Morehouse and Paul, thank you. And then Mike and Jacqueline, thank you very much for stepping in there and taking care of business. So a good conference, so thank you very much.
Any other comments?
Yeah, and I would like to, you know, reiterate some of the comments you made, which is pretty interesting. I took one of the big takeaways for me was when we did go to Bradbury Dam and hearing that it's at 7%, but that at one point 14% of the water in there was state water, which means what's left is state water. But when those comments were made, I heard a lot of rumbling from the Northern California people, and I heard a lot of people say, oh, that's our water. And I was just waiting for them to go to Cousteau's presentation, because I think that they some of them got it, that it's not their water, it's not our water, it's everybody's water, and we need to figure out the best way to get it to everybody and to be good to that water, because it continues to be reused. And again, I'd like to thank Commissioner Farr and Commissioner Welt for all the hard work you guys did on the committee, and Jacqueline and Mike. You guys were phenomenal. Would not have been so smooth if it hadn't been for you guys, and also Paul. So, you know, thanks everybody, and particularly thank the commission as a whole for taking, you know, stepping up and taking the risk, you know, at making the commitment to having Cousteau come. So that was really good, and we did get another sponsor for that. So we weren't on the hook for the whole thing.
Great.
It was good.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to...
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thank you. I think everything has been said, but I can't let this opportunity go without saying something as well. To all of you that have been mentioned, it really was a terrific conference, and I think it reflected very well on our community, and I just want to express my appreciation to all of you for a job very well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to information item number 2, and I think we have some speaker slips for that. How many?
Chair Guyer and members of the commission, informational item number 2 is to receive and file a status report on a request by the San Ynez Community Services District to include Los Olivos in the district's sphere of influence, and a pending proposal to form a Los Olivos Community Service District.
Mr. Chairman, I have a PowerPoint, so wait till that loads. Okay, the item on the as an information item is the status report on the sphere of influence request by Los Olivos for Los Olivos by the San Ynez CSD, and also the proposed formation of the Los Olivos Community Services District. This goes back about 6 months at the June 2nd commission meeting. I think it was right here in this room. Staff requested direction from the commission regarding options on submitted and pending proposals for Los Olivos. The request by the San Ynez Community Services District to include Los Olivos in the sphere of influence, and the pending proposal by the Los Olivos Community Services proposed district. And I'll have an update on that in a minute. Staff was directed to return to the commission within 6 months for action or further direction, so we didn't want to wait till the last minute because this is 6 months from the June meeting, so we have a report. First of all, the request by the San Ynez Community Services District to include Los Olivos in the district sphere of influence. To evaluate the request by San Ynez CSD to include Los Olivos in its sphere on September 30th, 2016. I said September 1st in the staff report, but it was on September 30th that I requested the district complete a questionnaire to update its municipal service review. Since in 2012, LAFCO reaffirmed the SOI in place at that time, which did not include Los Olivos community. The district did submit the requested information on November 18th, which was the deadline, and it's currently being evaluated. The pending proposal to form the Los Olivos Community Services District was the other option I requested direction on. And a community meeting was held in Los Olivos on October 24th, which was the day before the Cal-LAFCO conference. And on November 1st, the proponents of the Los Olivos CSD submitted a notice of intent to circulate a petition to initiate formation proceedings. LAFCO Legal Counsel and your staff looked at that and decided that it was complete. The petition was submitted on December 7th, and as it stands today, and we'll have an update on that because we just received an application yesterday, but at the time there were 200 signatures plus. There's 551 registered voters in Los Olivos, and it requires at least 25% of the voters within the community to initiate the formation process. I also attached several documents to the Commission staff report, revisions to the Los Olivos wastewater system, preliminary engineering study dated September 13th, 2016, final report that was commissioned by the residents of Los Olivos, which is a plan for services and feasibility study on the options for water reclamation. In addition, there are comment letters that were submitted by Heal the Ocean that were sent to me and I forwarded to the Commission in the staff report. And finally, at the request of the Executive Director of Heal the Ocean, I also attached a comment letter dated December 6th that was sent. So in conclusion, this is an information item. No action is necessary or authorized because it's not a noticed public hearing. But I think that you should hear from the folks in the audience that may have comments. And we did submit or receive an application late yesterday afternoon that was, I'm looking over right now for completeness, but approximately 42 or 44% of the registered voters signed the petition that was submitted to us. And the proponents of the Los Olivos CSD are going to submit additional signatures. But I'll let them comment on that, Mr. Chairman, unless you have any questions.
Any questions of the Commission?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions. Mr. Hood, we got an email from Dennis Pazanich of the CEO's office with their comments about these applications. And I guess on the first one, back last spring in March, when they were notified by you about the San Ynez CSD request for potential sphere of influence annexation, they asked for, they mentioned a number of issues that came from the Long Range Planning Department. Is that something that you will be in discussion with County Long Range Planning staff about and be prepared to address whenever that particular application comes back to the Commission? So that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is, you had said that you had asked the San Ynez CSD to update their municipal service review, and so I'm just wondering about these two big pieces of information and when the Commission would be getting those.
I didn't, was the letter from Dennis Pazanich a recent letter, or was it several months ago?
Well, the one from Dennis, just came, and it's mainly commenting, I think, on the Los Olivos Water Reclamation Committee application. The one on the San Ynez CSD sphere of influence is a letter that came to you last March when
Right.
you asked for a report back.
Right. We will be consulting with Long Range Planning and provide the Commission with information as part of this deliberations on both of these applications. Regarding the the process. Was that the second part of your question?
Yeah, well, actually,
When
you
will
know,
that-
I'm looking at the March 18th letter, and it's basically very short, but they said, prior to any proposal, full environmental analysis should be conducted, including the following: evaluation of potential impacts to agricultural resources in San Ynez Valley, analysis of potential growth-inducing effects, study of alternative wastewater treatment options and facility locations, an analysis of the proposal's consistency with the Santa Barbara County Comprehensive Plan and the San Ynez Valley Community Plan policies. So those were their main points from March on the San Ynez CSD application. The memo from Mr. Bazanich just mentions on the water reclamation. It just says that that they haven't. The concept of that hasn't been reviewed by county departments, and when a report back hasn't been provided, to you, obviously. And then they commented about the boundary in the engineering report extending beyond the Los Olivos urban boundary and potential impacts to, agricultural property that might be included into it. Although they acknowledge that the boundary could change and be different than what's in the engineering report. So, so anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of these and that you would be in consultation, with them about this as either one of these applications goes forward.
Right, Commissioner Farr, I am aware of the comments by Planning and Building about the growth-inducing impacts of extending sewer wastewater facilities to Los Olivos. And I think that was at a time when it was not really clear what the option was as far as extending services from Santa Ynez to eventually connect to a regional plant or to have sewage collection go to the Solvang plant. Since then, there's been clarification that the sphere of influence request is to include a non-contiguous island that is Los Olivos. And there's some issues relating to the boundaries that would be looked at when we further review the application and send out requests for report backs. Because now there is some discussion about including ag land. There's some small agricultural parcels that are prime ag land within the boundaries, and those are definitely not something that your commission would want to look at. So we could, your commission could amend the boundaries to make them different than the application that has been submitted. But we just received the application yesterday, so I haven't really had a chance to review that fully, but your commission will be involved in making determinations on that when it comes back to you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Chair, Mr. Hood, the other thing, there's obviously a lot of different things going on in the valley to do with water and groundwater and wastewater and all of that. And there have been several meetings amongst the water and wastewater providers in the valley to kind of talk about these comprehensive issues. And I know that the San Ynez CSD has been commissioning a study about what their options might be in the future. And based on the information I had from that, it appeared that there was a Los Olivos and Ballard option. But it wasn't clear to me that that was a separate, non-contiguous option and not part of a greater study area in anticipation of perhaps building their own wastewater treatment plant at some point in time. And so I don't know, maybe, I see Mr. Hodge here, I don't know if he's planning to speak or not, but maybe he can speak to that, because that was a little confusing to me, because it didn't appear to be a discrete option that was not tied in with some of these other studies that they were doing. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Stark?
I actually had a very simple, straightforward question, which is, when can we expect to see either one of these proposals back for action? And there's part A, and part B is there going to be an accompanying CEQA document that someone needs to prepare, or is it absolutely clear that these are exempt?
Well, the first part of the process is to check the completeness of the application and look at the signatures. My understanding is that county elections has a list of registered voters, so that shouldn't take too long. But I think realistically, the minimum amount of time to get it back to your commission would be, within the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, say March commission meeting, if we can do that. As far as the CEQA document, I'll defer to county counsel, legal counsel to make a comment.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Stark, right now there hasn't been an official CEQA determination made at all. There hasn't been one made as part of the submittal of the sphere of influence nor for the creation of the district. But the key question is going to be whether there was any commitment to any particular project here. And if it's rather, as we often do at LAFCO, the setting up of a funding mechanism to then go forward and let whatever agency is created study the project, do the EIR, identify the exact components and hardware and the parcels to be included in the area that would be served by the sewer. That's got growth-inducing impacts that are need to be fleshed out in a CEQA document. But often LAFCO relies on the funding mechanism as the path. And as long as we don't commit to any particular project when we make a decision between the sphere of influence and the creation of a new CSD, I think that's a legitimate exemption. So barring something unforeseen, I think that's how that would work.
Thanks. Okay, is there any other commissioner questions? If not, we'll go to public comment, and I would remind that we have 20 speakers and 3 minutes each, if you kind of keep an eye on the clock.
Chair Guyer and members of the commission, our first request to speak is Richard Berkson, to be followed by Jay Rickelson. Richard?
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Berkson. I prepared the plan for services and feasibility study that's included as attachment D in your packet. The report compares governance options and also estimates costs for different options. The 3 options are county service area, annexation to Santa Ynez CSD, and formation of a new community services district. The analysis is based on a review of budgets and discussions with the Santa Ynez CSD staff. I also spoke with county staff that manage districts. I also reviewed budgets of other small districts as well. The report, in addition to looking at governance options, also evaluates financial feasibility. That's based on costs that were prepared by the engineering firm of AECOM. They evaluated a specific type of community system. And very briefly, as you'll see in the report, it does find that a CSD option is likely to be somewhat more expensive than the other governance options that were considered. I don't think the difference is significant. It's about 10% or less relative to the total operating and administrative costs of a system as it stands. The fact is, though, for a small system, the preliminary costs are very high, and it will be extremely important for more detailed analysis to occur to bring those costs down so that they're more in line with area standards and practices. And I think that's possible, but that would be up to the future governance entity to do more detailed work and make that determination before it actually is approved by voters and moves ahead. So that's a very brief snapshot of the report, and I'm happy to respond to questions now or at any point during your hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jay Rickelson, to be followed by Dottie Rickelson.
Good afternoon. If I appear nervous, it's because I am. I'd like to thank you for allowing me the time to add my voice to the overwhelming support that our community has demonstrated for the creation of a Los Olivos Community Services District. My situation is a little unique in that I was a member of the group that originally approached the Santa Ynez Community Services District to discuss annexation of Los Olivos as a way to solve our wastewater problem. In fact, we first met with a member of the Santa Ynez CSD board over coffee around my kitchen table on May 30th of 2015 to discuss the concept and get his advice on how best to proceed. On August 24th of 2015, I volunteered to participate in what's come to be known as the Los Olivos Water Reclamation Study Group. We held our first meeting on September 8th of 2015 and have met regularly since that date, researching the options that are available to our community to solve its wastewater issue in compliance with state and county mandates. So I feel I am reasonably well informed on the events and the studies that have brought us to the point at which we find ourselves today. During this period of time, it's become apparent to me that the annexation of Los Olivos by the Santa Ynez Community Service District is the wrong course of action, and that Los Olivos must form its own community services district. For the first time, our community faces an issue that is so large and so complex and has such significant short-term and long-term financial implications for the residents that we feel we must have our own locally elected officials to decide on the solution that best satisfies our needs. The residents and property owners of Los Olivos Special Problems Area will have to live with and pay for whatever solution is ultimately decided. It is only fair and reasonable that they should also have 100% over the control of that decision. I therefore respectfully request that you approve our petition to form a Los Olivos Community Services District. Clearly, we have the support of the community behind us, as demonstrated by the 296 signatures of our neighbors and friends on the petition. Thank you for your consideration.
Perfect time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dottie Rickelson, to be followed by Mark Herthel.
Oh, hi, my name is Dottie Rickelson. I'm a homeowner and resident of Los Olivos. And I'm just here today because I am in favor of a Los Olivos special, whatever, CSD. I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing this. But what I want to say is that I remember the first meeting we attended, and I think it was you. There was someone in the audience that people were still talking about, my septic system is fine and I don't want to change it. And I think it was you that said, well, we're beyond that point now. We have to do something, or you're just going to have to accept whatever we give you. And that sort of stuck with me because maybe it wasn't you, my memory could be faulty. But I think we've demonstrated that. I've watched Jay, my husband, and I've seen the hours that he has spent at home and in meetings, and all of the people on that committee and that are from this community, we have, I think, demonstrated that we are willing to step up to the plate and take responsibility. And that's what we're asking for today, is a place at the table. Give us an opportunity to decide if the CSD is what we want for our community, and so that we can decide what's going to be the best solution for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mark Herthel, to be followed by Leona Mirles.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before I make my comments, I want to congratulate you on the LAFCO conference, what we heard about. It sounds like you made our community proud, and then I also want to recognize Supervisor Farr, who I understand will be your last meeting, and Mr. Rorak as well. Supervisor Farr, you came into office in the Santa Ynez Valley during a very contentious time, and your leadership and the environment you've created has really helped to bring our community together, so we thank you greatly, and we wish you well. So in 1887, the railway pulled up to Los Olivos, and our little township was formed 130 years ago. We've been a distinct, unique, thriving township ever since. We have our own school district, our own post office, thriving downtown, community gatherings, and a lot of nonprofits. Now, what this process over the past 18 months has brought to light is that we miss one critical thing. We miss a locally elected body that can help us make decisions on important things such as wastewater. We're here today, most importantly, to update you on our progress since the last LAFCO meeting in October, and since your board granted our community a 6-month extension in June. We held our October 24th meeting, which you heard about, over 150 residents, various representatives from the state, water, county, environmental health, and LAFCO. We presented the findings of the reports that you've heard about that Mr. Berkson mentioned, and the support was pretty overwhelming. On November 8th, we received approval from Mr. Hood of our petition. We've been circulating our petition over the past month. To date, we have over 300 signatures. From our list work, it looks like about 44% are registered voters within the proposed district. Next week, we'll be putting some more in. We want to get over 50%. Yesterday afternoon, we submitted our application to form a Los Olivos CSD with those signatures. We realize there's still work to do in our community. Not everybody has had a chance to get educated on this. Over the next couple months, we'll be reaching out to more neighbors, answering questions, making sure people are informed. Today, we ask that you consider our request to form a Los Olivos Community Services District at one of your future meetings so that our residents will have a chance to vote for the future of their town. Those of us that are concerned with our water quality, including the County Environmental Health, the Regional Board should take comfort in the conditions that LAFCO has placed on a potentially newly formed Los Olivos CSD if approved and formed, which are spelled out in our petition. Basically, the option of doing nothing is not an option. We appreciate your consideration. We hope that you will join us in taking this next step forward for Los Olivos, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you have. We also submitted a memo, which is with the application, that addresses some of the concerns with ag land that were in the special problems area, and we submitted a couple maps that show removed ag land for LAFCO's consideration. We think that should be a public LAFCO process if LAFCO so chooses. Thank you very much. Thank you for serving what you do. It's a lot of work.
Our next speaker is Leona Miralez, to be followed by Galena Hughes.
Good afternoon. My name is Leona Morales. My family have been residents in Los Olivos for over 50 years. I'm opposed to being annexed by San Ynez, and I am for the Los Olivos being able to form their own local community service district. I think it's important that we have our own representatives telling us what the options are and helping us make the decision. And I think that'd be best if it's a local resident and a local agency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Galena Hughes, to be followed by Randall Day.
Good afternoon. I'm Glenna Hughes. I have been property owner in Los Olivos District since the first part of 1960. My family was raised there and will continue there. And I feel that we need to have our own district and govern ourselves. So I oppose joining San Ynez and hope that we can join ourselves. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Randall Day, to be followed by Dennis Schoen.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I'm Randall Day. I'm priest and rector of St. Mark's in the Valley in Los Olivos that serves the whole San Ynez Valley region. I also live in Los Olivos. I'm a member of Los Olivos Rotary on the board of our Chamber of Commerce, and I've been working with other community members on wastewater treatment and water reclamation for several years. Los Olivos, as I think you're hearing, is motivated and committed to both self-governance and resolving the issues raised by being a special problems area. And this Los Olivos CSD process is bringing Los Olivos even closer together. And in conversations I've had, it is clear to me that we are strongly opposed to the potential of suburbanizing the San Ynez Valley with regional infrastructure that has the potential of supporting high-density development across the currently unincorporated areas of San Ynez Valley. And while conversation about a contiguous or non-contiguous project is being shared, we were advised by council just now, and I think this is also true, that there is no commitment to one approach or the other. One size does not fit all, in fact undermines all, and the best insurance against it is empowered local citizens who are ready to get the job done while maintaining the character of the valley. The still very recent 2009 San Ynez Valley Community Plan states the clear goal of limiting urban sprawl and creating buffer zones to maintain the individual character of each town. That's language from the plan. Cross-territorial annexation by the San Ynez CSD will disenfranchise citizens, slow the treatment and reclamation work that we want to do, and eventually subvert the very broadly agreed Santa Barbara County understanding of the nature of the area. In the studies that have been completed so far, I hope you see primarily not only information that is being gathered by extremely well-informed professionals, but the commitment of people in Los Olivos to get the best information and base decisions on ongoing process of study and dialogue. I hope it doesn't scandalize anyone to hear that even Holy Scripture can be and is critiqued and evaluated. And of course, no report or study, of which you all have many, is Holy Scripture. So we're not stopping with just one or two reports, nor taking them at face value. Just know that the people of Los Olivos aim to have a local CSD and will work with many others to get the best data and make sound decisions expeditiously, including, if warranted, contracting with other CSDs or agencies for certain equipment or expertise. Also, I hope you see in our most recent communication, as Mark just mentioned, that we are aware of the need to properly define the Los Olivos CSD's boundaries as regards ag land, and our readiness to collaborate with LAFCO on that and all other matters. So thank you very much for your work, especially Supervisor Farr for your years of representing our area. Thank you for your attention and assistance.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dennis Schoen, to be followed by Mike Brady.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Schoen. I'm a homeowner and a resident of Los Olivos. 6 months ago, when this discussion was taking place, what direction should we go as a community? The direction came from the supervisors that a decision has to be made. We can't horse around, we can't screw around, we have to move forward with some type of plan. In the last 6 months, and even actually prior to that, but in the last 6 months, I think the community has really come together. We have a fantastic cross-section of the town who was on the committee and has presented fantastic research. They brought the right people together. They put the options together. We've done what we said we would do within the 6-month time frame. I am very much and vigorously opposed to being annexed by the San Ynez district. I feel strongly that as each town in the valley is very unique, that we should have control over our future. We have a community that's very involved in decision making. I think the work that's been done so far on, in this whole area shows the dedication of the community. I think it's appropriate, and I certainly hope all of you feel as well, that Los Olivos has control itself and not be part of something else, but can make the decisions as a community, which is something I think we're very good at. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike Brady, to be followed by Karen Jones.
Hi, I'm Mike Brady, and I'm a resident of Los Olivos, and I've lived in the San Ynez Valley for close to 40 years. I am very, very excited about the local community and what they have done and how far we have come in forming a local Los Olivos Community Services District. Actually, I've been in my years on a variety of committees and things, and I've seen these people from the outside, and I've been very impressed with the leadership. And I feel very, very confident in our local people and in the local solution to our problem. And I just wanted to voice that. I think that it's having this local basis and the enthusiasm that I've seen from the leadership and from our local community is significant. And that's going to get us a district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Karen Jones, to be followed by Keith Sarloos.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And I'm not a hugger, but if I was, I would give you a hug, Doreen Farr. I think you've done a great job representing the Santa Ynez Valley, the 3rd District, but you've been great on this issue, and I know I appreciate it a lot. I echo what many of the other speakers have said about how you've been a leader, but you've also been a listener. You lead, but you have been very available, very accessible, and you keep it real, and I appreciate that a lot. I am a stakeholder in the SYCSD, and I am a newly elected board member. So I'm getting up to speed. I don't have a lot of formal education, but I can read, and so a lot of my opinion comes from the plain reading of things. And I look at the municipal service review last done in 2012, and doesn't the world change fast? You know, in 2012, that, as I now have to call it an MSR, did not anticipate a 12-story building in this little CSD. It didn't anticipate too much as far as changing. There was no need to do the environmental study then because there was no anticipated changes to the sphere of influence. So all this stuff is interesting to me, and I know I'm learning, and I have a lot to learn. I've enjoyed meeting and speaking with Mr. Hodge, and I'm very grateful that you are not force playing anything, and it sounds like you're going to allow the town of Los Olivos to move forward. So I am really happy to hear that. But some things confuse me a little bit because I was at that meeting, the meeting here in June, where things were delayed for 6 months. And so I don't really understand why there's no action. I know there's a reason, and I think that Mr. Stark could certainly, you've been great at explaining things in a very straightforward way, and you ask great questions, and I appreciate that. So anyway, as I get up to speed, I love the people in Los Olivos, but I don't want them in our district because I like that there's 5 little independent, unique towns, and I think most of the people who are my friends and neighbors agree with that based on a lot of things, but maybe most importantly, the wonderful turnout to all these steering committee meetings. You see an engaged population that I haven't seen for some time, and I'm very impressed. Once again, not a hugger, so a virtual hug to you and a big thank you to everyone here, but particularly Ms. Farr on her way out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Keith Sarloos, to be followed by Jamie Dittenhofer.
Hello, thanks for hearing us today. I just want to thank Doreen Farr for all of her service in our, what I consider the best district in Santa Barbara. Hey, ooh, that was good. I like that. Number one, I wanted to say the formation of this community service district in Los Olivos, I think, is a necessity. If you've gone to any of the meetings, you've seen a lot of people get up on both sides and have debated what is the best course of action for our small little town. And I think that democracy in these, in front of the church or in anywhere that we've had these meetings has been amazing because it's brought everyone together in such a way that now giving being annexed without representation, which is what would happen to our small little town, would go away. And the beginning of the CSD, I think, is a great start for the community of Los Olivos to really have control over its own destiny. Like we were talking about, bathrooms are an issue. And so this could solve many problems just in the formation. So I would implore you to please let the community continue down this path. Let us consolidate what we've been deciding as a group, what is best for us, and support us in these decisions to move forward. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jamie Dittenhofer, to be followed by Jeff Hodge.
Hello, Commission. Thank you so much for hearing us out. My name is Jamie Dittenhofer. I'm a resident and homeowner in Los Olivos. My family has lived there for 36 years. I attended Los Olivos Elementary School. Go Spartans. Now my 5- and 7-year-old attend there as well. I'm the president of the Los Olivos Foundation School Board there that raises money for the school. And the reason I bring this all up is because I'm just deeply invested in the community. I own Figueroa Mountain Brewing Company that has a business there in town. And this is everything that happens, in this town deeply affects me and my family. The valley is unique, as a lot of the members have brought up before, and each area in the valley is different. It's like a small little adult Disneyland. You got Danish Town and Cowboy Town and Arts Town, et cetera. But it is different, and we think differently, and we act differently. And I just wanted to come up here and say that I'm 100% in favor of the formation of the LOCSD. I'm 100% against the SY annexation, and I think after you guys read the facts, look at the reports and the study, you guys would agree as well. I think the steering committee has done a great job in involving everyone in the community, regardless of what side they're on, regards to wastewater. The formation of this CSD, or allowing us to vote on this, the community to vote on this, is probably the most important step in the history of Los Olivos, and I trust you guys will make the right decision. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Jeff Hodge, to be followed by Richard Nairhood.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. We submitted as the SYCSD, we submitted a letter for clarification because, as you can kind of hear today, there's that annexation. No, we're asking for the sphere of influence. So rather than read through this verbatim, since you have this in front of you, sent this letter in as a letter of clarification. Some of the important things from SYCSD standpoint is to find the right wastewater solution for Los Olivos. That's always been the goal and intent. You've heard the timeline. We reiterate that timeline here as that flows through. At the time, well over a year ago now, the citizens came to us with signatures as nothing was happening at that time, and the board took it up to move it forward. For us, with all the legalities behind how we can and cannot spend money, being an existing entity, hence why we applied for the sphere of influence. We don't have those studies because it's not appropriate for our district to expend any of those monies until said time that your organization finds whether we're the right entity to govern over the wastewater aspects of this. So really, that's what the letter's for. That's what I'm here once again after the 6 months to come back and represent that. Very pleased to be standing here seeing that there is still the room full of people interested in solving the wastewater problem. And I think the other important thing that you'll find in the letter, that this is not a competition, and in no way is the SYCSD ever looking to expand our boundaries and our territories for empire building or anything like that. It's solely to provide the water or wastewater aspect of the need for the citizens. If you have some questions of me with some of the other studies that are pending out there, they're separate but useful to build some of the aspects of what our engineers are looking for and the overall feasibility for that, but they're not at the level of detail that we would undertake if we move forward, if it was in our sphere of influence. Somewhat what you're seeing with the initial study that AECOM's done. It's just very cursory, and then we'd have to drill down from there. So once again, I appreciate your guys' time and input on this difficult matter, but greatly appreciate that we're coming to a solution with the wastewater problem for Los Olivos. So if there's any questions of me, I make myself available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Richard Nairhood, to be followed by Hillary Hauser.
Thank you for the time. It's a beautiful day to see everyone's water falling from the sky that we all so desperately need. My wife Gloria and I are residents of Los Olivos. We're new compared to many of the people here. We've been here about 16 years. But that doesn't mean that we're no less enthusiastic about the future of Los Olivos and this issue in particular. Mr. Orrick made an interesting statement about being cognizant of picking up paper now so it doesn't wind up in the ocean. Well, we're cognizant about settling an issue like this instead of walking by it and letting something happen that we don't have control of. So obviously we're in favor of a CSD formation. You probably all thought life would be a little easier if you weren't commissioners. Well, it's our job as much as your job to do what is hard, not what is easy. So we really hope you consider our fine people that have spoken today in favor of the CSD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Hillary Hauser, to be followed by Rick Battles.
Hello, Commissioners. Hillary Hauser from Heal the Ocean. Thank you for letting me have a moment here. Heal the Ocean, we've been in touch with the Los Olivos Wastewater Committee about the AECOM study and the Berkson study regarding our concern about the vagaries in these reports. And it was good to hear Mr. Berkson saying that more study is needed to pin down the costs. We agree on the need for a total financial analysis for the citizens to be able to make a decision what they want to do. Our position is that Los Olivos wastewater problem be taken care of in the most efficient manner and in a reasonable length of time. We do worry on behalf of the 140 people who signed the petition to the Santa Ynez Community Service District for wastewater service. We have concerns about the length of time and money of forming a CSD. As we know from the recent election, that Isla Vista CSD was voted in, but the tax was voted out. So how are they going to get the money to run the thing? We echo Mr. Stark's comment and a previous speaker's comment. On June 2, the action was supposed to be, this was supposed to be an action item today. That was my understanding. And I think Paul would correct me if I'm wrong. Your report started with a statement that the commission would take action in December, and then, but at the end of the report, it said no action necessary. Anyway, I would ask that the commission agendize this in January, and that in a normal public procedure, we get to see the staff report so that we can make comments on it. And rather than being hit on the side of the head with new information a minute before, the day before, or during the hearing. So that's all. I mean, we want to see the wastewater problem taken care of. We would really like a more transparent process here at LAFCO. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rick Battles, to be followed by Jean Hollingsworth.
Good afternoon, Chairman Geyer and members of the Commission. My name is Rick Battles. I'm an attorney with Howell, Moore & Goff. We represent the Santa Ynez Community Services District. And what I'd like to do is just briefly address the issue of process in light of the developments that have arisen since the time that Santa Ynez Community Services District submitted its sphere of influence application over a year ago. So LAFCO currently has pending the district's application to include the town of Los Alamos in its sphere of influence. Los Olivos, sorry. Thank you. I may do that again. I represent Los Alamos, and I'm used to saying that, the CSD up there. LAFCO also has pending an update to the district's municipal service review, which will analyze changes to the district's sphere of influence, and specifically the addition of Los Olivos to the district sphere. And LAFCO now has pending a petition signed by residents in Los Olivos proposing the formation of a new CSD to provide the sewer service. Last year, when numerous Los Olivos residents made a formal request for the district to add area to its sphere of influence and to ultimately provide sewer service to the area through annexation, the district's board of directors decided to initiate that process because for years the issue had been discussed, but no action was being taken to actually address the problem. It now appears that what the district hoped to accomplish when it filed its application last year can now be accomplished under an alternative plan, potentially. More specifically, the proposal has just been submitted as recently as yesterday. It's been formalized to provide sewer service to Los Olivos through the newly formed CSD. So as been indicated to your commission, the district's interest is to ensure that the urgent wastewater needs of the Los Olivos area are met. The district isn't interested in competing against a CSD proposal. that's now formally before your commission. It was only because no such proposal was forthcoming that the district filed its own application. And in a letter that we submitted that the district submitted in April of this year to Paul Hood, the district clearly stated this position by saying that the district will have no objections if another agency wishes to step forward and provide sewer services to Los Olivos. Government Code Section 56655 addresses how the priority of conflicting proposals is to be determined. Under that section, if two or more proposals pending before the Commission conflict or in any way are inconsistent with each other, the Commission may determine the relative priority for conducting any further proceedings. In the absence of that determination, priority is given to the proposal that was filed first. So under these circumstances, it seems to us that LAFCO may wish to make a determination pursuant to that Government Code section that the CSD formation application will be given priority and will be processed first. That would mean that the district's pending application to amend its sphere of influence would be put on hold. LAFCO would then proceed as expeditiously as possible, we would hope, with the processing of the CSD application. If that new CSD proposal is approved, then the district's application for a sphere amendment would obviously become moot. But if that application is not approved, if it's not approved by LAFCO, not approved by the voters, then LAFCO could at that point move forward with Santa Ynez application for the sphere of influence amendment. Staff could also put on hold the pending MSR process until it's determined what's going to happen with the CSD, since that's evaluating the sphere of influence amendment. So again, just to conclude here quickly, I realize I'm a little bit over. Again, the district's primary concern is to avoid continuing delays in solving the Los Olivos wastewater problem, and we believe that the approach I just mentioned would be a way to do that in a timely manner. So we appreciate your consideration of these comments, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jean Hollingsworth, to be followed by Bonita Sargent.
Thank you. I'm Jeannie Hollingsworth. I'm the neighbor of Randall Day. And this has been really a long time coming. This is nothing that started last year. I remember in 2010 we were trying to get people together to deal with wastewater from Los Olivos. And it wasn't until we had leadership that we really got the tidal wave going. The biggest thing that's happened in this meeting for me is Doreen and Bob, you must be just thrilled with that congratulations of appreciation that they gave you. And the thing that really was pointed out to me about that is it's for work, it's for preparation, it's for interest, it's for really doing the diligence. Right now, it seems like last year, both these CSDs are neck and neck for the same thing. And if you look at the amount of work that we have done in the committee, that the residents of Los Olivos have done on the feasibility study, the professionals, the answers that we've gotten, the fact that when it all came down to it, we realized that it was the same price for the Santa Ynez CSD to do it as it was for the Los Olivos CSD to make wastewater. It's the same thing, whoever does it. Not only that, Los Olivos can contract out to Santa Ynez. So it became an issue of identity. And the question is identity more than even just the beauty of Los Olivos, but demographics show that Los Olivos will never have a voice if this goes to a greater Santa Ynez thing. So if you look at the work that's been done, how many answers we have, what we've learned, what we've studied, and how fast we've done that, I really think that we can address the question of expediency and get this done with the help of the others, with the help maybe of Santa Ynez CSD, but by ourselves. So thank you for your consideration, and thank you for the great work that you've done. That's great acknowledgement. You should be proud.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bonita Sargent, to be followed by Jim Lomas.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Bonita Sargent. I'm a homeowner in the Special Problems area of Los Olivos. I would like to request that you put discussion of the Santa Ynez CSD's application to include Los Olivos in the sphere of influence on the agenda for your January meeting. The Santa Ynez CSD has over 30 years of experience managing wastewater issues. The residents of Los Olivos deserve to have their assessment of costs and options. Now, I have heard other speakers say that the cost would be the same. However, they've had no opportunity, we have had no opportunity to have the benefit of Santa Ynez CSD's evaluation of the situation and to hear what their cost assessments and options would be. And I think that it is to assume a foregone conclusion is very premature, and it doesn't allow the residents the benefit of hearing what those options are. They already have infrastructure in place. They're very experienced at doing this. And I think it's a disservice to the citizens for the people who do not feel their interests are represented by the steering committee to not have a voice in this process. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jim Lomas, to be followed by Puck Erickson.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Lomas. I'm a 21-year resident and property owner in Los Olivos. I've been there for a number of years. I was a founding member of the Los Olivos Rotary Club, a founding member of the Los Olivos Grange. I'm director of Building and Grounds for St. Mark's Church, and I sit on the school board at Los Olivos Go Spartans. Anyway, I mention all that because from that statement, it's pretty obvious that I'm well vested into Los Olivos. I urge you to vote for self-determination. This is a Los Olivos problem. It needs to be resolved by Los Olivos residents and governed by Los Olivos residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Puck Erickson, to be followed by Bob Field, who is our final speaker.
My notes on my phone. Hello, my name is Puck Erickson. I'm speaking in support of the formation of the Los Olivos CSD. I've lived in Los Olivos for 20 years. I've lived in the Santa Ynez Valley for over 40. And as a landscape architect, I was part of the team that built St. Mark's Church, got the entitlements for Maddie's Tavern, and worked at Dunn School when they put in their septic system. So I've seen a lot of septic systems and pipes go in the ground in Los Olivos. However, we're still missing a couple on Alamo Pintado. Anyway, kudos to the group and the leadership of the next generation. I'm so proud of kids that I knew as toddlers who have really stepped forward as part of this group. And they've just done a Herculean effort to sort out all the issues and bring them to the community, and I think really help us define in a very cogent and rational way some of the directions that we need to consider. And lastly, I want to underscore the need to support the consistent long-range planning goals of the Santa Ynez Valley. I participated in the plan in 1982, and the last update, that despite being highly contentious, if any of you went through that process with me can remember, but there was one issue that everyone agreed on, and that was maintaining the discrete and unique character of all the towns in the valley. And so I think it's truly important that Los Olivos has a voice at the table as we move forward through the formation of this district. And I also just want to make a couple comments. I frankly, I'm a member of the Design Review Committee for UCSB, so I've been involved in Isla Vista as well for many years. And I don't think there's anything analogous between the process that Isla Vista goes through and what our little town of Los Olivos is choosing to undertake. And then last but not least, I think you'll see by what this committee has been able to do that timeliness and accountability are very important criteria for our town. And I don't think dragging the process out is anything that our community or the formation of this district is interested in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Bob Fields.
Good afternoon. I had no intention of speaking, wasn't sure how I was going to get to the microphone, and congratulate and thank Supervisor Farr for 8 incredible years of service. Now to the subject, I will say I do have no horse in this race, no dog in the fight. I don't live in either the Santa Ynez CSD or Los Olivos. But I will say I have a bias. I worked on the community plan, got involved in this wastewater issue 14 years ago. I'm just delighted to see it's coming to fruition. What gets me up here is Santa Ynez CSD speakers saying that they're somewhat indifferent about where this goes, they're open, this is not a competition, and then arguing that they should be given a head start because they got their application in first. Sounds competitive. As I understand, I am not an attorney and really not that hip on LAFCO stuff, but as I understand it, and people here can straighten me out, that the effective law says that you cannot consider sphere of influence issues until you have an up-to-date MSR. If I'm right on that, you can't even consider what SYCSD has done yet. You do not have an up-to-date approved MSR. And I don't think you should pay any attention to who got there first. I think you should do what's best for the community. But if you are going to give a leg up to somebody, it goes to Los Olivos. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll close public comment, and I think council has a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've discussed this briefly with Mr. Hood, and as I think he's basically outlined in his presentations in the staff report and verbally, it's premature to make any sort of determination of priority here. He's still doing a basic analysis between 2 competing proposals as to which one should be pursued on the merits. So you're now starting to get a lot more detailed information on the petition proposal from the voters of the community, because it's backed up by the Berkson study. Mr. Hood made a determination about a month ago that to evaluate the sphere of influence application, at a minimum, he needed to update the MSR for the area for the setting as CSD, because that's basically the roadmap of whether or not they can provide the services in an effective manner. So that analysis is still ongoing. Certainly there's some ground support, building for the local community group, but still his analysis is still going to be, to look at the factors between the 2 proposals and make a recommendation. Then ultimately it's going to be up to the commission on which one you want to pursue, whether that requires a determination of priority or maybe just an approval of one and denial of the other. There's lots of options there. We've only briefly talked about the process of how to formulate that for the commission at a future hearing, but we'll sort through those issues. It's not something I think you would want to address today. This is an informational item. Certainly any direction you want to give to staff on things you want looked at or analyzed or paid attention to is appropriate. And Mr. Hood will be back. I don't think it'll be in January. That's too fast. But we'll be back. I think he said the first quarter of next year.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Dillon and Mr. Hood, I'm looking at the letter dated December 6th, which the Santa Ynez CSD submitted, and then also thinking about Mr. Battle's comments here representing the district as their attorney. And just starting with that first, it appears from what he said, I understood him to say that they believe kind of the order of operation or process is that Santa Ynez CSD has their application there, but that sounds like they're prepared to kind of stay in a holding pattern and maybe would prefer to, sounds like, to allow the Los Olivos CSD application process to move forward and to kind of play out and see where that goes one way or the other. And then only if that does not move forward would they then still be in a position to go ahead and do more. So those comments coupled with the line in the letter that says, however, until LAFCO has determined whether or not the district is the appropriate provider of wastewater service for the Los Olivos area, the district is not in a position to expend resources, undertake further analysis, or address all unanswered questions. I'm not quite sure how that affects what additional information you may be asking for them, even as part of the MSR or, anything else that you might need for that sphere. So, even though LAFCO, you as executive director of LAFCO, are not prepared, I don't think it's appropriate to try to prioritize at this point in time, which application should be going forward. It sounds like the San Ynez CSD is prepared to go ahead and stay in a holding pattern and let you prioritize on the Los Olivos CSD to see where that goes before they spend any more time and money on it. That's what I heard. So I don't know whether you or Mr. Dillon can comment on that.
Commissioner Farr, I think that's correct. I've had some discussions with legal counsel battles in the last few weeks, and I think you're correct. And I think that he stated that. I was not really clear if it was on behalf of the board of directors of the San Ynez CSD, but I think that you're correct that they would step back and allow the application to proceed. And that would also mean that I wouldn't be working on two competing proposals, using staff time to prepare the municipal service review and the application to form the district at the same time, because it really gets to be, if you bring both of them back at the same time, which one does the commission decide to go with? And, I'm not sure it's a prudent use of staff time to be working on both at the same time. We have one that is, very current with, 280 signatures that was submitted yesterday, and I think that that was the one that I would probably give priority to at this point to bring it back to your commission, as I mentioned, at the end of the first quarter. And then if that one does not pass, even though it would be subject to an election, I could bring back the municipal service review and make a recommendation on the sphere of influence rather than having two at on the same agenda, which looks like the way this could be headed.
Well, thank you. And that does seem appropriate, and I can certainly appreciate the San Ynez CSD's position that they don't want to expend a lot more of their time, staff time, board time, and resources moving forward with something, against a competing application that seems to be moving forward rather rapidly at this point in time, and just kind of wait and see how things play out. Thank you.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? If not, I have one.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
Do I have my?
Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and make some comments. I was one of the ones really pushing this, trying to get this thing pushed forward, and I still believe that. I still believe that it needs to really be pushed forward, and it looks like the people of Los Olivos are doing that, which is good, and I applaud them for that. Learned some interesting things today about Los Olivos beginning in 1887. Interesting because that was the same year the first special district was formed, Stanislaus County, and it was over water and financing for water. So had those people in Los Olivos known, they should have also done their first special district there also. We probably wouldn't be here today. It's important also, I heard some comments, there's a lot of comments about the bathroom water and stuff like that, but keep in mind that the water that we're talking about is all the water that runs through your homes and your businesses, everything that goes down the drains. And there's a push in California to recycle that water. Very important. There's only about 2% of that water that ends up out of your house that's actually bad stuff. The other 98% is good, and it's about separating that stuff and recycling it and reusing it. And there's a big push in this state to do that, especially with new wastewater treatment facilities being formed. Also, I learned today that we have someone here from Figueroa Brewing Company. Just wanted to say that my favorite is Island Brewing Company IPA, but a close second is that Hoppy Poppy, so keep it going. I like that. But it is obvious to me that the people of Los Olivos have a problem, and they definitely want to solve it. I've been a board member for over 20 years, Carpenter and Sanitary District, which is South Coast Water Treatment Facility. Currently, I'm the president of the California Association of Sanitation Districts, and that's for over 60 years, they've been the leading voice for public wastewater agencies on regulatory, legislative, And legal issues, we're an association of local agencies engaged in advancing the recycling of wastewater into usable water, generation of renewable energy, and other valuable resources. And through those efforts, we help create a clean and sustainable environment for Californians. So I hope that the group, however it's formed, that you're also a part of that and adhere to those standards also. I see this as two issues. Los Olivos, I believe you have two issues, whether or not you want to form a CSD or some form of self-governance. To me, that's a separate issue on building a wastewater treatment facility and recycling facility to meet not only today's needs, because I've heard people talking about today's state regulatory issues, but not only today, but you have to be anticipating future regulatory, legislative, and legal issues. It's important when you're preparing your reports that you're looking at the future, not just what's happening today. So let's keep this process working. Let's solve this environmental disaster that's occurring in your neighborhood, and let's get both these two issues solved. You know, how to govern yourselves, and let's build the best water treatment facility that's out there today. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, if not, I've got a couple. One of them is, I'd like to clarify, my understanding is the MSR for San Ynez Community Service District is just a regular cycle MSR. It's not something that's being done special.
That's correct. So far we've reaffirmed or looked at MSRs for 16 special districts. Some of those are still pending, and 7 of the 8 cities, 1 is still pending. It was actually moved up a little bit because we had this issue, but it's not out of the regular cycle. It would have been looked at by staff and the commission, within the regular cycle. There's remaining 16 districts that we're continuing to work on.
Right. I just want to make sure that they don't feel like they're being picked on for it. The other thing is that when we do come back with something with Los Olivos CSD, and I don't want to get into an issue of where LAFCO is trying to counsel a new CSD, but I would like to touch on some conflict of interest issues for board members, because there has been changes in that, which I got caught up in earlier in the year. So that would be something I think the commission should look at that a little bit as far as the governance of it goes.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest, since it's a local issue in Los Olivos, that the next meeting be held at the brewing company down there and
sounds like a plan.
Discuss the situation.
Do I have a conflict because I like a hoppy poppy?
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else on this issue? If not, Commissioner and staff reports.
There's no commissioner comments. I just wanted to mention that we're beginning in the process of the outside financial audit for the past fiscal year, and Bartlett, Pringle, and Wolf are gathering information from your staff and from the county auditor's office, and that will probably be coming back sometime in January, February for approval. And we do have several applications pending now. I think we have 4 new applications in the office, and we're getting ready to work on those, so there'll be a busy few months ahead for the commissioners.
Great. And that's your executive officer comments too?
Those are my comments. I'm sorry
Okay.
to take your commissioners.
I had a question.
Okay.
Because this was request for future agenda items. It wasn't on this one. I was expecting it to be on here. But I would like to have the past election results, in particular the IV vote. I'd like to have that put on the agenda so that we can discuss it, so that there's a lot of questions in the community on what the outcome is, what it means to LAFCO, what our process, how we're involved now, or if we are involved, and what the future means to this. So I'd like to have it put on the agenda so that we can discuss it.
Okay. Well, this is my last meeting as chair. So I think I would thank everybody for being patient with me this year. And it's been an experience.
Craig, Mr. Chair, if I could say, Doreen got shots in, I think, that we all wanted to say, but then I guess as the senior member, I just had a couple of things that I wrote down that I participated in with a lot of you and a lot of your predecessors. over these last, gosh, it's hard, 1991. Bob Perkins was the executive director at the time and did a good job, and then had Bob and Mary Braitman, and then Paul Hood came on, and been 3 great groups to work with. We've added CSD representatives during those times because we didn't, special district representatives that were on LAFCO's prior to that time. So that was many moons ago that happened. And I just say that the challenges of LAFCO's have certainly changed, I guess, from the initial things to now we're involved in a broader spectrum of activities, and some of those are social issues now that have come to the forefront. And then, of course, as Jeff indicated, the water issue has become phenomenal because everyone's going to have to scramble to keep their water, as others have. I had the opportunity back in the early 90s to annex little Guadalupe's 160 acres, I think, which this year they're putting houses for their community in one corner of that community, and that's taken all this time to happen. Buellton, I voted on that annexation. I voted on Goleta's annexation, and although we didn't have a lot to say about the Isla Vista, it'll be interesting. And I think, Jeff, I had not heard that part of that vote went south, I guess. And so from there on, and then the Coyama Valley, now their water issue has come, and that's huge to a lot of acreage and things like that. So it's been a pleasure, and I thank all of you that serve, because as you see, there's some contention that comes and goes, and hopefully we solve the issues as all of us representing different. You know, I represent a city councilman for Santa Maria, but I take that hat off and put on the county-wide hat, and I think that's what all of the representatives on LAFCO attempt to do, the best for the county rather than what's best for me and what's best for Goleta and what's best for Los Olivos and Los Alamos too, Mr. Battles. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. You know, it's been a pleasure to work with all of you, and good luck to you. And thank you, Jacqueline, for all the things you do.
Thank you. Well, with that, the meeting's. Oh,
I just had a question. Through the chair to Mr. Morehouse, was it your intention that the Isla Vista election report be brought back at the January meeting, or the district doesn't get formed till March, right? You'd think you'd want to answer the questions before that.
We have a lot. I know there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
About how it panned out and what's next. This
Just
apparently is going to form, but they're not going to be financed. So.
just
We can't really discuss discuss this. That's why I want it on the agenda.
Right, it has to be agendized.
Yes, so we can discuss it.
Mr. Chair, if I could just make 2 brief comments. The first is just to let everybody know what happened. There were 2 votes on the IVCSD, one to form the district and elect the first set of directors, and the second was for the utility user tax. Each had 2 different voter thresholds, the first being a simple majority, the second being a 2/3.
Yeah.
The first passed. The second just fell just short of the 2/3. And so, as has been said, we now have a district that has been approved and people elected, but not the utility user tax to fund it. So I know that they're talking about when they might have another opportunity to go out to the voters.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Commissioner Farr.
that's that. The other thing I want to say is that the next meeting is the 5th. Yeah, I'm out of here, Bill, so, chase me. It's a report. It's not a discussion. The other thing I want to say is that your next meeting is on January 5th. The Board of Supervisors doesn't meet until the 10th. And so I'm just looking at Supervisor Lavanino, that I'm assuming he will be stepping in for me, and there just won't be an alternate for the board at least at that first meeting. Thank you.
Okay,
And happy holidays and
With
to
that, the
everybody.
meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. Mr.
Merry
Chairman,
Christmas.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to, Craig? We're going to meet in the back office to have a little reception for Doreen and Bob.